Today we have a championship heavyweight fight on our hands. It's the great debate of whether or not you should use stone for mulch or wood for mulch. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's mention what is mulch. Mulch is going to be something that you put over the soil in your flower beds in order to cover up the soil, help prevent weeds from growing, and keep that moisture retention in the soil. And mulch is really just what goes on top of the soil, and it can be sourced from a lot of different materials. So most commonly, you're going to see something like bark or wood chips, but you can also use different types of stone, small stone, larger stone, and things like that. Even some people will use things like rubber mulch, which I don't like. But a lot of homeowners are considering using rock or stone for mulch because it has its own advantages. So let's break down the advantages and disadvantages of using wood versus rock. So first, let's talk about rock. The reason why so many homeowners are switching over to a rock mulch is because it's going to be more permanent. Wood mulch tends to either blow away or float away if you have heavy amounts of water, whereas rock is going to be there all the time. And a lot of people just prefer the aesthetic of the rock when it comes to their flower beds. Maybe it gives them a more modern look, or maybe it can give them a more southwestern type look, or something that matches their home. Now, the disadvantages to rock, the main one that I see is that rock gets hot. So it's going to reflect heat onto your plants and up onto your home. And that heat can be really intense. So on a day where it's 100 degrees outside, that stone might heat up to 120 or 130 degrees and just reflect all that heat up onto your plants and home. The other disadvantage to stone is it's permanent. And I know that was also an advantage, but when I say it's permanent, I mean if you ever change your mind and don't want to have stone in your flower bed anymore, it has to be shoveled up, and it's going to be a huge pain in the rear to take that stone out. Now, mulch, of course, has its disadvantages, like I mentioned, and it will continue to break down over time. And so, really, when you have a flower bed with mulch, you have to replenish that mulch or top it off once or twice a year. And some people don't want to deal with that extra work. It also has its advantages because one of the main things that it does is it helps keep the soil and your plants cooler. It just doesn't have as much reflective quality as stones do, and it does a better job of retaining moisture in the soil. The other thing is mulch will break down over time, and so it's actually going to help enrich the soil as it begins to essentially compost in place on top of the soil. Either way, you're going to have advantages and disadvantages along the way, so just make sure that you are keeping those in mind as you are deciding, do you want to put stone in your flower bed or some type of wooden mulch?